Welcome to this explainer. We've got something truly fascinating to unpack today. We are looking at a massive paradigm shift happening right beneath our digital feed. Literally, as we speak, we're moving away from an internet built exclusively for human eyes into a whole new reality. Get ready, because the way we think about digital communication is about to be completely flipped on its head.
So, let's kick things off with a pretty simple question. Think about your organization's website, your digital portfolio, or even just your company's social media. Who is actually reading it? You're probably picturing a human, right? A customer, a potential client, maybe a job applicant. Well, what if I told you that your primary audience, the very first entity to actually read and evaluate your content, isn't even human anymore?
To really wrap our heads around how this is happening, we're diving into a brilliant piece of analysis today. And it's important to mention here that Willem Scheepers wrote this insightful contribution for Management Pro. His work gives us this absolutely crucial management perspective on a technological shift that is going to completely redefine how our organizations operate, communicate, and honestly just survive in the coming decades.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, the AI as the first reader.
To see what this looks like in practice, let's look at a really interesting recent observation by Ethan Mollick regarding his new book, Coexistence. So Mollick used AI to help write, test, and build out the digital environment for the book. Now, the book's core content, his unique voice, his judgment, that all remained entirely human. But when it came time to build the book's website, there was this crazy plot twist. The AI didn't just help him write the code for the site, it actually realized that the website needed to be built not just for human visitors, but for other AI agents. It essentially built a completely supplementary layer specifically designed for machines that are out there reading, filtering, and summarizing information for us humans.
This perfectly captures the shift we're talking about. On one side, you have the human experience. We're reading, feeling, navigating a clean, visually appealing interface. But acting like a glowing digital doorway right in the middle is the intermediary layer, often referred to in this context as the Tissen lock. On the other side of that door, the AI agent. The AI is basically acting as a superpowered gatekeeper. It reads, it analyzes, and it decides what's actually relevant before a human ever even knows the information exists. It selects, summarizes, and judges. So our focus has to completely shift from just making great content to providing the right context for these machines.
Moving right along to Section 2, the rise of Autosapiens.
This brings us to a really profound shift, both philosophically and practically. We are way past the days of AI just being a passive tool where you type in a prompt and get a neat little answer. We are witnessing the rise of what Scheepers calls Autosapiens, and this definition is absolutely crucial. Autosapiens are AI systems that are self-directing, adaptive, and learning. They don't just blindly execute a single task you give them, they actually become integrated into your processes. Slowly but surely, they begin to change the very systems that generate the questions and tasks in the first place. They aren't just tools anymore, they are highly active participants in our digital world.
So, what are the actual characteristics of this self-reliant AI? Well, instead of just spitting out a final product, these systems now recognize intermediate steps totally on their own. They design their own logical routes to solve complex problems. They structure and order information in ways we humans might not even anticipate. They rigorously test alternative solutions. And just like we saw with Ethan Mollick's website, they can even identify entirely new target audiences, like other AI agents. This is the proof. AI isn't just a content creator anymore. It's an independent designer of how content is accessed and routed. Let's move to Section 3, decoding the Agentic Web.
All right, so if AI agents are the ones designing how content is accessed, what does that actually mean for the internet as we know it? Well, it means we're seeing the birth of something entirely new, running right alongside our traditional internet. It's a massive contrast. Think about the human web. That's everything we're used to. It's built on visuals, catchy text, tone, trust, brand appearance. We love a pretty homepage that makes us feel something. But the agentic web, it couldn't care less about your beautiful graphics. The agentic web runs entirely on structure, metadata, source consistency, semantic signals, and machine readability. It's a parallel universe operating right under our noses.
I absolutely love how Scheepers summarizes this. He says, where we see a homepage, the agent sees a decision landscape. Think about that. For years, we've all obsessed over SEO, search engine optimization, just trying to make sure humans could find us on Google. Well, that old world is fading fast. The new question isn't, does a human get our vibe? Actually, scratch that. It's more like, does the AI agent, who is acting on behalf of the human, understand why our services are reliable and relevant? Because if your organization's digital footprint isn't meticulously explainable to an AI, you literally won't exist in that agent's decision landscape, period. And that takes us to Section 4, the risk of human hollowing.
Now, this shift isn't just an IT or marketing problem. It hits right at the core of how we structure our companies. Because what happens to your human workforce when Autosapiens start optimizing absolutely everything? You run into this massive danger known as the human hollowing process. Let's break this down. Step 1, AI takes over all the routine tasks, creating this hyper-efficient execution layer at the bottom. Now jump to Step 3. At the very top, you've still got your isolated executives making strategic decisions, but look closely at Step 2. Because AI is suddenly handling all the summarizing, all the intermediate steps, all the initial judgments, the middle of your organization gets completely gutted. And why is that scary? Because that middle layer is exactly where humans develop deep knowledge. It's where they learn nuance, form judgments, and grow into future leaders. If we hand over the learning middle to AI, we are literally giving away the future brain trust of our organizations.
So how do we prevent this? Scheepers proposes what he calls a human capital allocation framework. But let's be super clear, this is not your boring old-school HR spreadsheet, not at all. You have to treat this as a fundamental design question. You have to actively, consciously sit down and ask, where must human presence be retained in our business? Where do we absolutely need human value, human judgment, and human responsibility, even if, technically speaking, an AI could do it a little bit faster? We have to deliberately design humans back into the loop, or else our organizations are just going to become these hollow, empty shells. Finally, let's look at Section 5, Designing for the Agent Journey.
Which brings us to the big actionable takeaway here for managers, HR pros, and digital strategists. How do we build for this? For the last 10 years, everyone has been totally obsessed with the customer journey, mapping out every single click a human takes. But in the era of Autosapiens, that's only half the battle. We now have to deliberately design the agent journey, or the agent rice. We have to map out exactly how AI systems are finding our information, how they are judging its credibility, and how they seamlessly pass that on to the humans they represent. We have to start treating the AI as our most important VIP client.
So the ultimate question is no longer, are we using AI? That is old news. I want to leave you with this provocative thought straight from our source material. Is your organization actually ready for a world where self-reliant AI agents, these Autosapiens, are the ones who get to determine what is visible, what is understandable, and what is ultimately recommended to the world? Really think about that, because the agentic web isn't some far-off sci-fi concept. It's already here. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer today, and I highly encourage you to go take a hard look at how your own digital presence appears through the unfeeling yet incredibly powerful eyes of a machine.